Welcome to the deep dive. We aim to cut through the noise and get you well-informed fast. Today we're looking at something, well, a real crossroads that many adults who stutter face. It's confusing. On one side, you hear this, clinical message, often from professionals, there's no cure for stuttering. Feels a bit like a dead end, right? But then maybe you look online and suddenly there are these really charismatic people saying they've found the secret, they've overcome it, achieved total fluency. It's dizzying. Who are you supposed to believe? Is there, real hope somewhere in between all that?
That's exactly the dilemma, isn't it? And it's understandable why it causes so much confusion.
Yeah.
So that's really the core of our deep dive today. We want to cut through that noise. We'll explore a really practical self-help path. It's based on something called Avoidance Reduction Therapy, RT. And the key thing here is that it's adapted so you can apply it yourself. Our mission really is to figure out how you move from maybe feeling limited by stuttering to living a life free from avoidance, which interestingly often leads to speech feeling much easier, more natural. A bit of a paradox.
Okay, that sounds really promising. Before we get deeper into this, though, just a quick note for you listening. For more insights like this, definitely subscribe to the Voice Journey YouTube channel. And if this resonates today, you'll want to get the full guide we're drawing from, Unblocked, a stutterer's guide to breaking free from avoidance and speaking with confidence. You can grab it on Gumroad and Amazon. We've put the links right there in the description for this deep dive.
Right. So let's maybe start with that no cure statement. It sounds so final, doesn't it? What does it actually mean when, professionals say that?
Yeah, that's a great place to start because it really sets the scene. From a medical perspective or a neurological one, no cure is, well, largely true right now. Research, the kind of stuff summarized on Wikipedia and in scientific literature, it points to stuttering being this complex neurological thing, often with genetic links. It's not just psychological. So we don't have a pill or a simple procedure yet anyway, and that's crucial. Stress and anxiety, they can make it worse, absolutely, but they aren't the root cause.
Exactly. That neurological basis is key. And understanding that really helps debunk the other side of the coin, which is that seductive myth of the secret cure. These big claims you see online, people saying they've completely overcome it. It sounds amazing, offers so much hope. But honestly, from years of experience talking to thousands of people, we just haven't seen anyone become totally permanently fluent, like they never stuttered. It doesn't seem to happen that way.
That must be so tough for people who chase those promises. I've heard stories. Often it seems linked to really expensive online courses. Is that right? What tends to happen there?
Yes, far too often. There's frequently a big commercial interest, high price tags, and sadly, many people invest a lot of time, money, hope, only to find themselves still stuttering, but now with this added burden of feeling like they failed. So this deep dive in the book Unblocked, we completely reject that route. It's just not realistic, and frankly, it can be quite damaging.
Okay, so no magic cure, and the secret methods often lead to disappointment. Does that mean you just give up? Accept a life where you hold back, don't speak up, don't go for things? That can't be it.
Absolutely not. No way. This is where the real path opens up. It involves a really fundamental shift,
Yeah.
a shift in the goal. Maybe there's no cure for the stuttering itself, as in eliminating it forever, but there are incredibly powerful, proven ways to overcome the fear of stuttering. And for so many people, that fear is the real prison. The amazing insight, the paradox we mentioned is this. When you stop fighting the stutter so hard, the stutter often stops fighting you so hard. Fear creates tension, avoidance. Reduce the fear, and speech often becomes more forward-moving, easier, more natural, without forcing it. So the goal becomes an avoidance-free life, which is different from necessarily a stutter-free one.
That sounds freeing, shifting from fighting it to something else. So what's the actual method then? How do you make that shift?
The method we're focusing on is Avoidance Reduction Therapy, or ART. It's a really compassionate but also very effective approach, developed by pioneers like Joseph Sheehan and Vivian Siskin. What's cool about ART is how it blends techniques from different areas. You've got bits of cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, that helps with negative thoughts. Then acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT, focusing on values and accepting challenges. And also classic stuttering modification techniques. It weaves them all together. And Unblocked isn't a textbook. It's really a hands-on manual designed to guide you in applying these ideas in your own life.
Okay, RT, let's break it down. What are the core principles, the big ideas that help you dismantle that fear and avoidance cycle?
Right, there are 5 main principles that form the foundation. Think of it as your toolkit for change. First up, identifying and letting go of avoidance habits. Think about it over time, you might develop all these little tricks, like swapping a word you fear, saying the day after Sunday instead of Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Or using fillers like or oh a lot, or maybe physical things like blinking hard or jerking your head to push a word out. The key insight here isn't about stopping stuttering itself, but stopping the struggle around it. Because paradoxically, those very habits, they often make the stutter seem worse, more tense. Art helps you become a kind of detective of your own speech, noticing these patterns so you can start to consciously let them go. Chapter 2 of the book really gets into the nitty-gritty of this.
Ah, okay. So noticing those almost unconscious reactions makes sense. What's principle number 2?
Second, and this is really a cornerstone, is confronting fear head-on through exposure. The logic is pretty straightforward. The more you avoid something scary, the scarier it feels. Every time you swap a word or just stay quiet, you're basically telling your brain, yep, that was dangerous, good call avoiding it. Art flips that completely. The insight. Fear shrinks your world. Exposure expands it. So you start intentionally, gradually putting yourself in situations you fear, saying feared words, making feared sounds. You're teaching your brain little by little, see, the disaster didn't happen, and even if I stuttered, I handled it. This systematic exposure starts to dismantle the fear's grip. That's the focus of Chapter 3. Right, facing it directly chips away at the power it has. Okay, and the third principle. Third is reducing physical struggle and tension. That fear we just talked about, and the habits used to avoid stuttering. They create real physical tension. Maybe your jaw clenches, your throat feels tight, you hold your breath. All that struggle makes stuttering feel and often look much harder than it needs to. The insight here is your body kind of reflects your mind. If you can relax the fear, you can relax the tension. As you face fears and drop avoidances, that learned physical struggle starts to ease off naturally. Art teaches you how to allow stuttering to happen more easily, more openly, without that fight. Chapter 4 gives you practical tools for this.
So moving with it, not fighting against it, that makes sense. Which leads to how you define success, I guess.
Exactly. That brings us to number 4, redefining what success actually means to you. For a lot of people, success in speaking is super simple. Did I stutter? Yes. Failure? No. Success. That black and white thinking, it's a huge driver of avoidance. The insight RP offers is success isn't fluency. Success is the freedom to communicate authentically. So RT challenges you to totally redefine that. Success becomes about saying what you want to say, participating fully, connecting with people. When you start valuing that openness more than perfect fluency, you give yourself permission to stutter, and that takes immense pressure off. Chapter 5 explores this shift.
And the 5th principle feels like it ties everything together.
It really does. The 5th is about embracing your identity as a person who stutters. Hiding part of yourself is just exhausting. Constantly trying to seem fluent creates this internal conflict. It's sometimes called role conflict. The fluent person you pretend to be clashes with the person who actually stutters, generates huge anxiety. The insight, hiding drains you. Owning your voice brings peace. Art encourages self-acceptance. Being open about stuttering first to yourself, then maybe to others, lifts a massive weight. It reduces the need to avoid, empowers you, and often leads to much more positive interactions because the tension is gone. Chapter 6 guides you through that process.
Wow, okay. That's a really comprehensive framework. But like you said, principles are one thing, doing it is another. Let's get practical. That first principle, becoming a speech detective, identifying avoidance habits, how do you actually do that?
Great question. Building awareness is step 1, because so many of these habits are just automatic. We usually break them down into 2 main types. First, there are the overt avoidances. These are the big things, the life-limiting things you simply don't do, like you avoid making certain phone calls. Or you stay silent in meetings, even when you have ideas. Or maybe you skip social events entirely, situations you actively sidestep.
Okay, the big stuff. And then the smaller, maybe sneakier ones, the in-the-moment tricks.
Exactly. Those are the covert avoidances,
Yeah.
the subtle things you do while you're talking. Word swapping is a classic, wanting to say cappuccino, fearing the C, so you quickly say latte instead. Or using lots of ums and uhs to delay starting a word. And those physical helpers we mentioned, the hard blinks, the head nods, tensing your jaw to kind of force the word out, these take up so much effort, mentally and physically.
So how do you spot these if they're so automatic? How do you become that detective?
Well, a really powerful tool is just self-monitoring with a journal. Simple, but effective. Maybe for a week, after a tricky speaking situation, just note down, what did I want to say? What did I actually do or say? How did that feel? The Voice Journey app is actually designed for this experiences. It helps you log these experiences, notice patterns, and even schedule speaking tasks related to them. Another tool, maybe a bit more confronting, is audio or video recording yourself sometimes. You'll catch things you miss otherwise. And maybe finding a trusted mirror, a supportive friend or family member who can gently point out things you might not see. The main strategy, then, for letting go is simple. Choose openness over avoidance. If you catch yourself avoiding a word, your new mission is to try and say that word next time. If you notice a physical trick, like tensing your lips, your mission is to consciously try to inhibit it, keep your lips soft, even if it feels vulnerable.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, moving to principle 2. Confronting fear with exposure. How do you tackle those bigger fears, like the dreaded phone calls or speaking up in groups, in a manageable way?
Yeah, you don't just jump into the deep end. You build what's called an avoidance hierarchy. First, you brainstorm a list of all the speaking situations you avoid or find really scary because of stuttering. Be honest. Asking for directions, calling the dentist, ordering food, speaking in a meeting, introducing yourself. Put it all down. Then, you rate each one, maybe 1 to 10, based on how much fear it brings up. 1 is low fear, 10 is high fear.
And I'm guessing you start small.
Exactly. Start at the bottom with the 1s and 2s. The goal isn't immediate bravery on the big stuff. It's about getting successful experiences with smaller challenges. And remember, success here means doing the thing you usually avoid, not necessarily doing it fluently. Then you plan your new mission for that situation. So instead of the old goal for ordering coffee being don't stutter, the new mission might be, okay, I'll walk up, make eye contact, say the name of the drink I really want, and if I stutter, I'll just let it happen without fighting it or using tricks. Again, the Voice Journey app is perfect for this. You can literally schedule these missions, plan your approach, and reflect afterwards on how it went, focusing on the action, not just the fluency.
That planning and reflection part sounds key for building momentum. Are there more advanced tools for exposure? Things to maybe speed it up?
Yes, definitely. 2 powerful ones come to mind. First is voluntary stuttering, sometimes called pseudo-stuttering. It means deliberately stuttering, lightly and easily, on a word you probably wouldn't have stuttered on. It sounds weird, I know. But think of it like a fire drill for stuttering. It does a few things. It desensitizes you to the feeling and sound of stuttering. It puts you in control, and it quickly shows you that, yeah, the world doesn't end when you stutter. You'd start easy, maybe a gentle, my name is, in a super low-stakes place.
Okay, a fire drill. Interesting. And the second tool?
The second is showing the stutter. This isn't about faking it. This is about what you do when you feel a real stutter coming on. Instead of your usual reaction, maybe looking away, tensing up, using a trick, you consciously choose to let the stutter happen openly, without struggle. You maintain eye contact, you allow the block or repetition to be there, you don't add extra physical force. It helps break that automatic link between stuttering and panic or shame. It leads to a much more comfortable, less effortful stutter when it does happen.
Okay, so when you're in that moment, showing the stutter or just dealing with a block, how do you manage that physical tension we talked about when your body just wants to lock up?
Yeah, that tension response is deep-seated. It's that fight, flight, freeze kicking in. Speech muscles clamp down. First step is just awareness.
Yeah.
Learning to feel it. Where is it? You can literally try to freeze and feel during a moment of stuttering. Just notice, is it my jaw, my throat, my chest? Or just do quick body scans before you speak, especially if you're nervous. Even practicing contrast, like tense your jaw really hard and completely relax, helps you learn what letting go actually feels like in your body.
And then in the moment, what are the cues to actually let go?
Once you notice the tension, you give yourself these gentle internal instructions. If it's jaw, lips, tongue tension, the cue is simply soften. Soften my jaw. Let my lips be loose. If you're stuck on, say, a P sound and your lips are pressed hard, you consciously ease that pressure. Let the air move forward gently. If it's throat tension, feeling like a wall, the cues are like open my throat, let the air flow, maybe even letting a tiny bit of sound out on a sigh as you start the word. And if you notice you're holding your breath, which is common before a feared word, it's keep the air flowing, speak on the exhale. This takes practice, like any physical skill. Setting small goals, maybe using the Voice Journey app to remind yourself, helps build that habit.
That's super practical, things you can actually try. And this all feeds back into redefining success, right? How do you really, truly shift that internal scorecard away from just, did I stutter?
Exactly. You know the communication iceberg idea. The stutter you hear is just the tip. Below the water is this huge mass of fear, shame, avoidance, effort, all the hidden stuff. For years, the focus was often just on shrinking the tip. RT says, let's work on melting the base. When you reduce the fear and shame, the visible stutter often becomes much less tense, less disruptive anyway. A key way to do this is to let your core values guide your communication goals. What kind of person do you want to be? What matters to you in life? Being knowledgeable, supportive, connected, creative. Frame your goals around living those values through communication, not around achieving fluency.
Okay, so give me an example. Instead of thinking, I need to give this presentation fluently so they think I'm competent.
Right. It might become, my goal for this presentation is to share my knowledge clearly and contribute to the team because I value being helpful and knowledgeable. Success is achieving that, regardless of how smooth my speech is.
Hmm.
Then you can use something like the three-step reframe when those old automatic thoughts pop up. Step 1, catch the thought. Oh no, if I stutter now, they'll think I don't know my stuff. Step 2, check the thought. Wait, is that really true? Does stuttering automatically mean incompetence? What's the evidence? Step 3, change the goalpost back to your values. My real goal here is to share valuable information because I'm a helpful teammate. That's my measure of success. Using something like a post-conversation log, maybe in the Voice Journey app or a notebook, helps you track these new kinds of wins, focusing on your values, not just fluency counts.
That's such a powerful shift. Liberating, really. Okay, finally, embracing identity. You mentioned the high cost of hiding. What's the real payoff when you start to embrace being a person who stutters?
The payoff is huge. It's liberation, honestly. That double life of trying to hide it, it's incredibly draining. It takes up so much mental energy that could be used for, actually connecting with people. The most direct strategy here is self-disclosure, sometimes called advertising. Basically, openly telling people you stutter in a calm, matter-of-fact way. I know it sounds terrifying at first for many people, but it does amazing things. It instantly releases the pressure you feel, lets you control the narrative, it gives you permission to stutter. Once people know it might happen, that desperate need to be fluent just evaporates, which, ironically, often leads to less tension and more comfortable speech.
Could you give a few specific examples? How might that sound in different situations?
Sure, it can be really simple. Maybe meeting someone new. Nice to meet you. And just so you know, I'm a person who stutters, so you might hear some bumps along the way.
Or at the start of a meeting. Hey everyone, before we start, I just want to mention that I stutter, so sometimes I might need an extra moment to get my thoughts out. On the phone. Hi, this is your name. Just letting you know I stutter, so bear with me if it takes me a second. Or even in the moment, after a noticeable block. Whew, that was a sticky one. Anyway, as I was saying, it shows you're not thrown by it. You're okay with it.
So it's less about trying to like stuttering and more about accepting it's part of you, but not the whole you, not letting it define you. Precisely. It's about building genuine self-acceptance. Understanding your worth has nothing to do with how fluent you are. Stuttering is part of your experience, but it doesn't have to be the main event. You can be smart, funny, kind, capable, and stutter. We sometimes use the metaphor, you are the sky, the stuttering is just the weather. The weather changes, sometimes it's stormy, but the sky remains vast and unchanged. It also involves self-compassion, being kind to yourself, especially after tough moments. And connecting with others who get it, like through groups such as the National Stuttering Association, can be huge. It all leads towards living what we call an undivided life.
An undivided life. Yeah, that feels like what this whole deep dive is pointing towards. So let's quickly recap. We've covered this amazing toolkit, being a speech detective, confronting fear through exposure, releasing tension, redefining success, embracing identity. What's the key message for our listener now to take these ideas from listening to actually doing?
The main thing is that these are practical skills. Like learning an instrument or a sport, they require practice, consistent, patient practice. It's not about achieving perfection overnight. It's about progress, choosing openness, choosing bravery day by day. Even small steps count hugely.
And there's that companion tool to help make the practice consistent.
Yes, exactly. The Voice Journey app was really built for this, to bridge that gap between understanding the concepts and actually integrating them into your daily life. It acts like your personal RRT, gym, and journal. You use the task scheduler for your exposure hierarchy. You use the reflection prompts for that new scorecard thinking. You set daily goals for tension release or self-compassion practice. It really helps turn these ideas into real-world action and track your progress over time.
This has been incredibly insightful, a really different way to think about living with stuttering. It's not about a magic fix, but about genuinely breaking free from the fear and avoidance that holds so many back. And the reward, as we've heard, isn't necessarily perfect fluency, but something much bigger. A life of freedom, connection, joy. That undivided life you mentioned, where your authentic voice gets heard.
Absolutely. We really hope this deep dive has opened up a new, empowering perspective for you.
So remember to subscribe to the Voice Journey YouTube channel for more great stuff like this. And to really dive deep and start applying these principles, get your hands on the book, Unblocked, a stutterer's guide to breaking free from avoidance and speaking with confidence. Check the description for the links to Gumroad and Amazon. Until next time, keep digging deeper into what really makes a difference.